my presentation is on the mathematical fundamentals of music, and I'm going to go over polyrhythm and polypitch. So first, music, rhythm and pitch. Pitch is measured in frequency, is in hertz. And hertz, this is important, it's actual physical compressions of pulses against your eardrum. And that's how, so hertz is cycles per second. So 100 hertz is 100 physical compressions of sound against your eardrum per second. That's important. So different frequencies have different pitch values. A higher frequency is a higher pitch, a lower frequency is a lower pitch. For music, in Western music, we only use certain pitches. They sound better, and to determine these pitches, we use equal temperament. I'm going to write the equation for this. Let's say any frequency that you want that will be on the equal temperament scale, which is Western music. Any music you hear on the radio is going to be equal temperament music. We use a base frequency to determine every and all possible frequencies on the scale. We multiply that times the number when multiplied by itself 12 times equals 2 to the power of n. And n, I'm going to say down here, this is steps. So in music on our scale, a half step is the difference between a note and the note above it or below it. So I'm going to say half steps. That's just the note directly above or below. So n is how many half steps away you want from any given base frequency, and your base frequency can be any frequency you want. For Western music, we use A, which is 440 hertz. So for all the equations I'm going to do up here, I'm going to use 440. Some people like to change that because it might sound more appealing, but it still uses equal temperament scale. So if I take A here, I can evaluate, I want to say f of 3. This is going to be my base frequency if we use A. It's going to be 440 hertz. And I'm going to multiply that 2 to the 112 times n, where n is 3. So this will output a frequency of a note that is 3 half steps above our base pitch, which is 440 hertz, which is going to give us 523.251 hertz. So our first note is A, and this note 3 half steps above is this frequency. We can evaluate all numbers we want, as long as the frequency we end up with is in the range of human hearing, to get all musical notes that are on equal temperament scale with A. So if we evaluate this at 6, this is 6 half steps above 440 hertz. 254, 622.254 hertz. Cool. Now I'm going to evaluate one more. Let's say -1 means that we are going 1 half step below our base pitch. So this is going to be slightly below 440 hertz. It's 415.355 hertz. Cool. So I didn't choose these 3 randomly. These 3 hertz values, those 3 frequencies, we put them up next to each other. 14.305. They create a ratio with each other. 5, 2, 3. Oh my goodness, it slides great. 523.51 against 622.254. Cool. This is f of -1 against f of 3 against f of 6. Cool. Simplify this down, and it's an approximation because equal temperament isn't perfect, and we like it to be like that because it sounds better to us. But mathematically, this is a ratio of 4 against 5 against 6. And I know there's another presentation about the harmonic sequence or harmonic series, and these are all on the harmonic series. So these 3 notes, which are different frequencies, against each other create a ratio, 4 against 5 against 6. These are all in hertz, which is cycles per second. And it's kind of hard to actually audialize or visualize for your ear, conceptualize what this is in cycle per second. That's 500 beats against your ear per second. So you can slow it down. I'm going to choose half a cycle per second. So you're actually going to be able to hear 4 against 5 against 6. And this is really interesting. And I'm really proud of this. It's really neat. There's a presentation from someone named Adam Neely, and this is my inspiration for it, but it's really cool. So first, I'm going to add something in here. I'm going to do 1. So what you're going to hear right now is a space of time that I'm going to consider 1. That's going to be half a cycle per second. 1, 1. And then, so this is 1. Then we can divide it into 4 spaces of time inside of that. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first part of our ratio. We can also divide it into 6 evenly pulses in the same period of time, which is going to be 6 against 1, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can add those together and we'll get the ratio of 4 against 6, not putting in 5 yet. So this is what it sounds like. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's really cool. This is the same ratio, just way slower. This is 5 in the same unit of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is all 3 of them. This is 4 against 5 against 6. And you can speed this up. Might get loud. Slow that down. 4 evenly spaced pulses in time, in the same space of time as 5 evenly spaced pulses in the same unit of time as 6 evenly spaced pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what it actually sounds like. So that is the ratio of 3 different notes, which 4 against 5 against 6 is a ratio of frequencies you need for a major chord. Why that sounded as it was. I mean, it was like synthesized. You could tell it didn't sound necessarily clean. It was a major chord where these notes are F-1 is 1/2 step below. In musical terms, we say if 440 hertz is A, -1 is the note beneath A. Musically, we say that's A flat. Then F of 3 is C, and then F of 6 is E flat. We get A flat major chord. I think that's it.
How did you come up with the formula for the frequency?
This is, equal temperament was developed in it was sometime in the 1800s. We know that classical musicians like Chopin and Mozart, they didn't use this formula. So their music that they played was on, I think it was Western temperament is what they called it. And then there's, of course, Pythagorean temperament, which doesn't necessarily sound great, so we don't use it. He was great at geometry, but it sounds worse the further out you go from the bass pitch. So more than anything mathematical, it sounds pleasant is the basis for it. All the other ones that were mathematically based, like Pythagorean tuning, it's mathematical and it makes sense when you look at it and all the ratios are exact, but it doesn't sound good, so we don't use it. That's like the only basis. It's really weird.
Do you know the boundaries for human frequency?
20 hertz to 20 kilohertz.
What program did you use to make that?
This is a GarageBand. So this is really neat. So GarageBand, because what I was doing at first is like normal music. To speed that up to such a speed, GarageBand can't really handle going that fast. So I had to make these increments of time incredibly small and slow down the speed to, this is like 8 beats per minute. And then these are all super small subdivisions. So it sounds normal, but on GarageBand it's like really small. Just so I could actually handle with GarageBand pushing it to such a high speed while maintaining the ratio and the quality of each pulse. It was really interesting. Thank you.
Can I make a comment outside of your talk?
Yeah?
A few years ago, several years ago, in Harvard University, a musician was getting his PhD, and he used mathematics, Fourier series, Fourier transform, complicated stuff. Then his supervisor did not understand what's going on. The community did not understand what's going on. And he fell on his presentation. Okay. Forward 10 or 15 years later, people look what have done was something out of the ordinary. Okay? So he sued Harvard University because it was denied the PhD. So Harvard University closed up the shop by paying him a lot of money to do this, because Fourier series, Fourier transform, harmonica series, all this are related with music from the point of view of mathematics. It's outside example, you know. I don't know if it was what, but okay. Thank you.